September the 15th. Hard to believe. Rob Browne in the studio in Memphis, Brenden Martin in Ocala, Coach Pete Cordelli in Nashville, Coach Ellis Johnson in South Carolina. Dave Bartoo should be joining us here shortly from out in Oregon. Where do you start? Is it okay to start off a show in the South during football season with your lead story is how good are the Vanderbilt Commodores? I mean, I was on a show Friday talking about it, but we'll get to it in a minute. Take a picture with your cellular phone of the QR code. We are live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, like 8 channels simultaneously. And then, of course, if you miss us live, you can always watch us at your leisure. Share it with your friends and tell them about it. We do it every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 9. There's a whole bunch of other shows on this channel too. So this is your one-stop shop to come in here and find out the truth on the SEC. We don't hold back, guys, but I was on a show Friday with our friend Jake Wimberly, the drive down in Jackson, Mississippi at 5:15. So I gave my top 5 picks. I had Georgia Tech over Clemson. I had LSU over Florida. I had Georgia over Tennessee. I had Vandy over South Carolina, and I took Texas A&M over Notre Dame because there was so much talk about A&M hadn't won a road game, non-conference, against the top 10 opponent since 1979. And what did they do? That, I tell you, there were so many good games. We were over here at the farm watching it, and nobody could go to sleep. But guys, start with you. Ellis Johnson, you're down in South Carolina. Lenora Sellers, how bad is he hurt? Let's go.
Far as we know, it's a concussion protocol.
Okay.
And that's about all they would release. It's not, I started not to come on today, man. It's been rough over here. Last time it was this bad when Pete and them came through with Sherman and burned everybody's house and raped all the women. And not only did Clemson lose and South Carolina lost, my Citadel Bulldogs lost, my son at Murray State lost. I got cousins and family at Wofford, they lost.
Well, we're going to have Brenden dim the lights here in a minute.
Well, I was getting ready to take a jar of gummies before I went to bed. It was bad over here. But Furman won, and we don't like Furman because we went to the Citadel. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'll contribute as much as I can, but the Carolinas were not representative this past weekend at all.
Okay. Yeah. Dave Bartoo said he will be on about 8:30. He's got an AD wants to talk to him about some coaching shuffling. So you can see it's already happening. Don't like that, but it's a lot different nowadays. If you lose your job and you've got a $20 or $30 million buyout, I'll be glad to help you manage that money. But anyway, I digress. Pete, damn it, I like Marcus Freeman a lot. And I really like Notre Dame. I mean, I'm Catholic. Dadgummit, man. They've lost. But look who they're playing. Miami's sitting at 4, and A&M's in the top 10 now. Michael Jordan, my friend, he knows you. You were at his football camp when he was a young kid. He's still got a picture of you. He goes, I love Pete Cordelli. Everybody does. They love Ellis Johnson. But dadgummit, we couldn't, Notre Dame did not get the win. What'd you think about that one?
It was going to be tough for A&M to go into South Bend and win it, especially with the way it started out with Notre Dame blocking the punt for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then A&M's defense wasn't playing very well. In fact, Mike Elko threw a chair through a chalkboard at halftime. And it was just to pique their interest in playing a little bit harder.
Wow.
But then in the second half, Marcel Reed, he played here in Nashville at NBA.
Yep.
He was committed to Ole Miss. And then he flipped his commitment to A&M. He has gotten better throwing the football, but I will say this. The other thing that has made him better, those 2 wide receivers. The Concepcion kid coming from NC State and, the other kids. So, but there's an expectation at Notre Dame when you're not in a conference, every week that you play, you're playing for the national championship because you're putting yourself in a position as the year goes on to be right there at the end.
Yeah.
So to have them play in the national championship game last year. The expectations are this team's coming back, good offensive line, the defense. Well, they lose their coordinator, who goes to the Bengals, and they bring in Chris Ash, and there was some concern about that. I couldn't imagine how many receivers are running wide open in the second half. But all that being said, you're at home. A&M's gotten better under Mike Elko.
Yeah.
Mike Elko was at Notre Dame at one time as the defensive coordinator.
Yep.
There was a discussion that if Marcus Freeman didn't take the job, they would go after Elko, who was at Duke doing a very good job. The play call for the touchdown on fourth down was a great call.
Yeah.
And here's why. They go with twins to the field, but with a tight end there as well. They run a double slant, and the number 1 and number 2 outside receivers get bracketed.
Yeah.
The tight end, he runs an out and up, but he's being covered by an outside linebacker. They got the matchup they wanted.
Yeah.
And then Marcel Reed half rolls to his left. And here's what I didn't understand. Watching, I had to run it back a few times. The defensive line, they slant to their left, and there's no edge player.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to bring a middle linebacker to scrape for contain. The guy had too much room to cover. Now, here's the other thing.
Yeah.
When you have that big tight end on the linebacker, and as he's going up, Reed puts the ball up, and the linebacker overruns the tight end, and the kid comes back and makes the catch. Great call, great play, great win.
It was, and our intern Oakley McFerrin played at MBA, and Marcel Reed was his quarterback, and so we're going to try to get him on the show this summer. He's kind of busy. Coach Johnson, I love that breakdown. Can you do it for us, South Carolina and Vandy? I took Vandy because Dave Bartoo and y'all have really gotten into my head in a big way about quarterback snaps and starts. I think Diego Pavia has started more games than any active quarterback. And having two coaches like y'all, I mean, it's like asking Robert Plant for singing lessons and John Bonham for drum lessons. I mean, you can't get much better than that. So tell me, I don't know if it's a different game, Coach Johnson, with Lenora Sellers. How good is Vanderbilt? How good can they be in today's world with NIL being what it is?
Vanderbilt knows who they are. And that's, some coaches have coached there and tried to run things that, just like everybody else runs, and you don't have the right personnel and you beat yourself.
Yeah.
They know who they are. And they got some good players, don't get me wrong. They got some kids in some key spots. And Jerry Kield and the other guy they brought from New Mexico, I mean, coming in with those guys, it was an immediate connection, bringing some of those key players with them. But they're really a confident football team now. And there are years where they would take the field and they didn't have confidence. They didn't think they could play with people. They just try hard and go down to Nashville and, enjoy the night. But I don't know what South Carolina is.
I love his honesty.
South Carolina, on the flip side, I don't know if they're trying to get Lenoris drafted or if they're trying to win games. He can't play football in the pocket at this point. And kind of to Dave Bartoo's point about snaps, he played in the high school. It was a good big 4A, 5A high school in South Carolina, but he didn't learn how to throw the football in the pocket and read coverages and all that. Know who's hot, know who's coming, knows when he's not protected. In 3 games, he's taken a safety, trying to do drop back pass in the end zone, had no clue he was getting ready to get sacked. He's thrown high a couple of times. He's made a beautiful strike to the big kid Harbor one time, but people forget that was a full backfield set with a play action on it and just heave it down there on the post. So they've got a dilemma, and that Mike Shula is a great teacher of quarterbacks. And if what their objective is to get Lenoris drafted, the first thing I would start with, Lenore's come back one more year, and we'll try to get you ready.
Yeah.
But I just cannot understand what they're trying to do. Now, the flip side, Vanderbilt won the game. I don't care if Lenore's got knocked out or not.
Yeah.
Offensively, like I said, they know who they are. They get a good extended drives, and they do it by getting good first down yardage. And they don't hardly ever get in these unmanageable 3rd and 13s and 3rd and 10s.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's fun to watch them because it's more like football was 30 years ago, where execution was important and not just throwing long ball every 5 plays.
Yeah.
So they're good. They're a good football team. What scares me for South Carolina, I look down their schedule. I don't know how many teams are left on their schedule other than Coastal Carolina that I would say is better. Is not better than Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Well, Will Gunner covers South Carolina for us, 107.5 The Game in Columbia. And Will was on with us last Wednesday, and Will pointed out some stats. And by the way, guys, we got 2 national championship coaches, Ellis Johnson from Winsboro, South Carolina, Pete Cordelli from the Metroplex of Philadelphia, but Catholic school educated, which is, I love it. But anyway, I got to say this. Will pointed out in the last 3 games, South Carolina against Clemson, and not counting the bowl game, the win over Virginia Tech and the win over South Carolina State, they only were averaging in those 3 games 17 offensive points. They had some special teams and defensive touchdowns in the South Carolina State game. They got 38. And I said, looking at that trend and following stocks, I said, that thing's about to dip. And so I took Vanderbilt on the snap count for Pavia, but it just, Pete, this coaching the quarterbacks, and we'll start going kind of rapid pace because I feel like a grandparents that have 16 grandchildren in the SEC. We're going to go all over them. And when Dave gets on, it's going to be really wild. It's going to be like having a fan blowing confetti. But starting on this one, you tell me on the quarterbacks, people try to make them something that they're not. Who wins in that one?
No one. No one, because it's a lose-lose. Coaches are beating their head against the wall. They're frustrated. The player gets frustrated, because in the book that I wrote in Making the Grade, you have to have a POD, a plan of development. But you have to know, and Ellis makes a great point about Lenore Sellers. Yeah. And in that, I hope, and the big concern when Dowell Loggins left South Carolina was that when Mike Shula took over, was he going to change the way Sellers is playing to be a drop-back quarterback? 95% of high school coaches in America play their best athlete at quarterback. And like Ellis said, in high school, they're not taught the reads that you have to pre-snap, post-snap. Middle of the field open, middle of the field closed. Then you go to corner leverage. Is it zone? Is it man? So what are you looking for pre-snap? What are you looking for post-snap? Number one, most high school staffs don't have enough guys to coach it. Okay? So you're at a limit there. So you look at this guy and he's running all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go with Cam Ward, the number 1 pick in the draft last year. In high school, he played in the wing T. He played in the wing T. And then he goes to the Incarnate Word and has a great, awakening in the passing game. Goes to Washington State, and now he's playing Miami, and then he goes, he's here at the Titans. But here's my concern, especially about Florida. Lagway threw 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
13 points for LSU.
Yeah.
Florida only scored 10. His turnovers outscored his own team.
Wow.
He allowed LSU to score 13 points, 2 field goals and a touchdown, the pick 6.
Yeah.
But my concern is Billy had Anthony Richardson for a year. And the big concern about Richardson was the stat we're talking about now with Dave Bartoo, number of snaps. But everybody said 6'4", 235, got a great arm talent. All of that is nice, but what about his decision making?
Yeah. All right.
What about getting rid of the ball on time? The internal clock we talk about with a quarterback feeling the pressure. Can you climb the pocket, make plays with your feet?
Yeah.
Now, you get Anthony Richardson. Now you got DJ Lagway, 6'4", 245.
Yeah.
But my goodness, you talk about the stare down the other night. And Blake Baker did a great job of bringing six-man pressure and then mixing it up with some zone coverage,
Yeah.
let alone he wasn't always cover zero man-to-man.
Yeah.
So quarterback development at Florida between the last two quarterbacks, I mean, they look like King Kong walking off that bus and on that field. But once the ball snapped and it's in the heat of the moment, they get reduced to one-read guys. And it's like Ellis said, they're either making the long throw. Now, DJ can rip a dig in there. DJ can rip the outcut. But in today's game, a quarterback has to make, all right, an accurate pressure under duress consistently.
Yeah.
Not a one-time deal. We're not a one-trick pony here.
All right. That is a brilliant description. And Coach Johnson, what he just said, and Perry Mason, I love this guy. He's from Lake Placid, Florida, watches this show pert near every day. Can you guys tell me what's wrong with Billy in Florida? I love Billy. He's a top-notch individual, really pulling for him to succeed, but I don't think it's going to happen. And you've known Billy Napier since he was 21 years old. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but Pete just referenced Anthony Richardson and now DJ Lagway and their quarterback issues. It's the same head coach for both of them. What's going on, and can you fix it going into the fourth game of the year?
Well, it goes down, I guess, starts with recruiting. And Billy's a great recruiter.
Yeah.
And, they bring the guys in. They've got all kind of arm talent. And as Pete said, they really hadn't had enough snaps as a quarterback to play good third down football. When I say third down, there comes a time in major college football at the top level, you got to make about 6 critical plays on third down, and most of them are going to be from the pocket. Yeah. And if you can't do that, sooner or later somebody's going to get you. And the thing I really don't understand about it, you just said I've known him since he's 21 years old. Billy played for one of the most, I guess you'd say, most instructive and best teachers in college football. And I'm partial to him, but Bobby Johnson was a great yes. coach. And they didn't run a run and shoot air raid type of deal at Furman. I guarantee you he was taught how to play quarterback at Furman University. Unfortunately, I had to coach against him. Yeah, but it's just sort of like his quarterbacks are not anything like him. It's sort of puzzling, but it goes back to recruiting. I mean, who you got in the locker room? I think he's probably playing the best player, but maybe they got to do some different things, and try to take the ball out of his hands on those times where he was going to make a bad decision, if it's possible to predict.
Yeah, and it's hard to predict. I mean, that's the thing. I've got to ask you, Coach Johnson. Another school, LSU, their defense. We watched them against Clemson, and I thought Clemson would win that game by like 3. But LSU's offense is not explosive. I picked LSU to beat Florida 24-17. It was 20-10, but LSU had 1 offensive touchdown, 2 field goals, and a pick 6. Garrett Nussmeier, people love him as a quarterback, and here on. Where's the production? You're going into week 4, and Brian Kelly's who he is. I don't know. I mean, I don't think LSU has an explosive offense but their defense is really good. But are they just playing teams that don't have much offense? How do you make a decision here?
It's a little bit hard to understand because they've got a lot of kids back from an offense last year that was very productive.
Exactly.
Garrett's the type of guy you got to protect him. He can't be his own protector and escape for a 30-yard run and make you quit running certain exotic coverages. Okay. So they're probably getting a lot of exotic stuff over there on third downs, and give Florida some credit on defense too. Yeah. Though. I mean, they came to play, and after that embarrassing loss at South Florida, I think they probably gave them about everything they could. I don't really know what's wrong with their offense. Yeah. But the thing I do know is that they know who they are. And Brian Kelly wasn't going to be hard-headed and let Garrett Nussmeier or whatever, put them in the bind where they will lose the game.
Yeah.
So I wish Pete would be the guy to ask this. I just don't know why they're not an explosive, high-powered offense, but they know how to win football games right now and not beat themselves.
That's right. Pete, so going to that question, last year LSU had all these guys, Pro Football Focus loved their offensive line, but they're not scoring a lot of points, and they've had 3 games to audition. I didn't put them in. I know this sounds crazy, but I didn't put LSU in my top 6 in the SEC because of that. And I put Alabama and Georgia to play in the SEC and Georgia to win it all because Kirby's kids, there's more alpha males on that team than any team in America. And they're just relentless. And they've got, Clint Eastwood at quarterback, Gunnar Stockton. That kid is just ferocious warrior. People were picking out the headstone, they ordered the flowers, and they already had the shovels out to bury Alabama. And I just was like, you're out of your mind. Talk about Ty Simpson, the kid from Martin, Tennessee, Westview, and what he's doing. And Bernard, the receiver, they got talent, man.
Oh yeah, it's never been a question of talent in Tuscaloosa now.
Yeah. I was not questioning it.
No. And the cupboard wasn't bare when Kalen DeBoer took over.
Exactly.
And then he brings Brailsford, the center from Washington, with him.
Correct.
Who's a man now.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude's a big time ball player at center. Yeah. So Ty Simpson's on his second coordinator in 2 years. And, again, Ryan Grubb did not come with Kalen from Washington last year. Now he's come in. And I think that Ryan Grubb and Ty Simpson are developing a bond as they go on. They're going to get better. After that first drive in Tallahassee, I don't know what the heck happened. Other than Tony White, the defensive coordinator from Florida State, turned it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And, man, they got after him. And then the Alabama defense just looked like they had no clue. But, again, you have a little come to Jesus meeting, and the players had their player-only meeting that Kalen DeBoer broke in on that week.
He did?
Oh, yeah. The players are in there. Kalen finds out. He goes in, just throws the door open, goes, "What's going on? All right, now here's how it's going to be." So all of a sudden, it's like, But anyway, Ty Simpson his dad is one of the finest offensive minds, calling plays. He's got a younger brother right now that's setting all kinds of records.
Yeah.
Has a number of scholarships. But that comes from Ty being a coach's son and Ty being trained by his dad.
Yeah.
And so now you're starting to see one of the terms that we use with quarterbacks, receivers, tight ends, running, KYP, know your personnel.
Yeah.
Ty Simpson's starting to figure out his personnel.
Yeah.
The guy who's kind of let him down a little bit is Ryan Williams. Mm. He's had some drops here that uncharacteristic. He had one the other day in the end zone. It was like, how did you let that ball go through your hands?
Yeah.
And when I say KYP, the receivers also have to know the quarterback, because as a receiver, you never want the velocity of the football to split your hands. You have to be ready to have your hands firm and cupped, not flat and stiff, firm and cupped, so that when the ball does get there, you can squeeze it. Some of these guys, the ball hits their hands and they're not ready for it.
Yeah.
They have soft hands. And it's like, and I don't say that in a good way.
Yeah.
It's like, you've got to be able to make the catch. And quarterbacks have to know when to zip it, when to put touch on it, when it's going over the shoulder, when it's going below the waist. Okay. One thing you teach quarterbacks, especially in the red zone, from the goal line to the 5 yards deep, you throw the ball from the waist down. So there's not an overthrow, you don't get the tip. From 5 yards deep to the back of the end line, it's either you're throwing to the pylons or you're throwing it high in a headshot. You're throwing it to the receiver's head so he can go up. And if he doesn't get it, the ball goes out of the back of the end zone. So you have to understand your areas to throw the football in.
Okay.
I think Ty Simpson is, with Ryan Grubb,
yeah,
this Alabama offense is going to get better as the season goes on. They got a week off.
Yeah.
Then they got Georgia, which,
Right.
man, it's going to be a
That'll
great
be
game.
great. Yeah.
But I truly believe Ty Simpson's best football is still ahead of him.
I do too. And by the way, several friends of mine, John West, one of them, saw at the MUS David Lipscomb game over at Hull Dobbs Field. It was they gave him a decent burial, but he saw King Dunlap, former Brentwood Academy player from Auburn who played in the NFL a long time, and Mark Para, my friend, who played at MUS and started at Auburn and for several years. So I think you're involved with Lipscomb some. Are you working out there some? Yeah. It's pretty obvious.
King does a good job with that offensive line. You know, King went to Brentwood High School here.
Yeah, 6'9".
I mean, and then he played for the Chargers for years.
Yeah.
But watching him coach that offensive line, I mean, he does a really good job. And they ended up losing a left guard Friday night against MUS to an ankle, and King had to take a defensive lineman during the game and kind of teach him up a little bit and put him in, and they still had success. King Dunlap's doing a really good job over at Lipscomb.
Yeah, he is. And Coach Johnson, you know what's cool? You have coached 45 years. Pete, a lot too. I mean, we got 80 plus years of coaching experience right here. 2 national championship coaches, folks. Ellis got his at Alabama and came close at Auburn. Pete got his at Notre Dame with Lou Holtz. Damn. I mean, nobody else in the country's got this. This is awesome. And we got the best executive producer in the world, Brenden Martin. Coach Johnson, I want to ask you now about another interesting one. Texas, their defense is really good. And Dave Bartoo says Sarkisian, hell of a coach offense, but he consistently every year, 1 or 2 times, just underperforms the talent that he has. You saw Arch got booed the other day, and I saw Sarkisian, he said, hey, now that you've been booed, you're in college. What's going on at Texas? I never bought into they're the next Alabama because we all know Alabama. We know Texas. Austin's a weird place with a lot of distractions. It's fun and all that. But in Tuscaloosa, everywhere you go, football is king, and it matters.
Yeah, not too much McConaughey and not enough Bevo.
Too much McConaughey and not enough Bevo. That's a bumper
got a
sticker.
lot of cowboy hats and not many cowboys. But
I love it.
It's San Jose of Texas, I guess. But I don't know. It's just Arch is really struggling. I thought the first game, I said, this is sort of an anomaly. He's going to explode and start really taking over and running this football team. But he's struggling. He really is. And I guess I'd go back to, we've talked about it now 3 or 4 times, what Dave Bartoo said about numbers of snaps. Yeah. It's starting to really sink in with me. There's too many examples of it. Pete was talking about Lagway a while ago. Not only has he not played a lot of football in games, he hasn't practiced a lot because he stays hurt, conditioning and whatever else, or just bad luck. But I just think it's a young quarterback, hadn't yet kind of figured out the game, I guess. Why he's not producing a little bit better because of all the good talent around him, though, that part I don't understand.
Yeah.
Pete could probably speak better to that. Yeah. But I agree. I mean, I don't think right now they're a top 10 team.
No. And
I think going along with Coach Johnson, those 2 tackles they lost last year were pretty good players. I mean, both of them went to the NFL. So now you're not only replacing, your 2 edge guys on that offensive line, but you have a new quarterback. Arch went 10 straight incompletions last on Saturday.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's when the fans started booing him. And, for those people that all summer long said he's going to be the best college quarterback ever, stop trying to be Mr. Clickbait down there in wherever you are.
Lampasas.
Wherever he is located. But the other thing I've noticed about Texas, Coach, that offensive line, they're playing face mask to face mask and a lot of belly bumping. There's nobody coming off working low to high. And, he's surrounded by good players. But right now, I see a guy not playing with much confidence. And at some point, you got to be like a pro golfer next shot. let the bad one, if when Bill Belichick was at the Patriots, he went out and played in the Pro-Am at Pebble Beach. And the pro he played with, he said, look, I haven't swung a golf club in 10 months. The guy said, no problem. So they're hitting balls. And Belichick said, how do you let go of the bad shot? He said, I got 2 kids and a wife at home. If I want to get paid, I gotta focus on the next shot. He said, Coach, I'm sure you tell your guys next play. Let it go. And Belichick brought that guy up to OTAs all the time. And those players to get that understanding. I think the best thing Texas can do, bring Scotty Scheffler in and talk to Arch about letting go. Here's how I've won so many tournaments. And you know what? Hearing it from someone else may make something click. The Manning family, the Eli Payton, the whole deal. Let somebody on the outside come in and talk to him.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I heard Charles Barkley say in an interview one time about his golf swing. People giving him a lot of trouble. He said everywhere he goes, somebody different wants to give him coaching advice. So I like this question, Coach Johnson, from one of the viewers. It's about NIL. He said, with NIL, and I'll add a little color to it, kids pulling up in a Lamborghini to practice when they're 18 and 19. I can't begin to tell you what happened when I got a new car in high school at Christian Brothers High School. I was like, what'd you get that for? Your grades? I don't think so. I'll never forget that. Look who it is from the wilds of Oregon. Only one man puts together numbers and data and matrix and puts it in the vernacular like the Pope giving Sunday Mass. Dave Bartoo, we've been talking about you. I said, Dave, you're winning because I went on that show Friday and I hit 4 out of 5. I missed Arkansas. They fumbled away at the end, but hell of a game. But I also thought Austin Simmons would be the quarterback. But Dave, the quarterback snaps, the commentary that I've heard, I will say this, every week that Ellis Johnson and Pete Cordelli are on here together, it just keeps getting better. Dave, all the games you watched over the weekend, and you don't even have to watch them. You're a numbers guy. You're right. Your thoughts on college football. And by the way, guys, the lights out gummies work. I got 8.5 hours of sleep last night and woke up with no sleep hangover. Lights out gummies work. But I digress.
Yeah. No, okay. Full disclosure. Okay. I lived up to my promise, Rob. I said I'd come on here and talk football and not turn the TV on all week.
Yeah.
My TV hasn't been on in 4 days. So
smart man.
But that being said, a couple of things about the SEC crossed my mind. Okay. Number one, we've been talking about how it's an offensive conference. There were some pretty offensive things this weekend, but there was a lot of points put up. There wasn't a whole lot of defense being played. I know everybody's jumping on Florida, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of good teams in the SEC right now. Mm-hmm. Georgia's, the most disappointed man in the SEC might actually be Kirby Smart. How'd that guy go to sleep after giving up 41? I have no idea. That's got to drive him absolutely crazy. Arkansas at Ole Miss, good football game, tons of points, no defense. Yeah. Right? South Carolina got nothing. Right? Florida got nothing. LSU, I know they're undefeated, but that offense, it's got nothing. Right? So to me, right now, okay, if we had a committee here and we're going, okay, after 3 weeks, who's your SEC title game? I'm going Bama, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I picked Bama and Georgia, with Georgia to win it, but OU was in my top 6, but I never put LSU in my top 6 because I was like, I don't see the offense. So Pete, Ellis, chime in here. Wait, but there's a question here. I want to address this about paying the players after the result. Believe me, I've been in the commission business for 34 years. We eat what we kill. If we don't sell anything, everyone I know in the business knows you can get a buckshot, 0.00. Ellis Johnson, you heard him talking about the lack of defense in the league. And you've coached in Gene Stallings' style at Alabama with Brother Oliver. I mean, you have coached with and learned from the best. That's why you're one of the best. Talk about how this league, Kirby walked off the field. Didn't he say something like Tennessee should have won that game. I think he was in shock.
Yeah, the offense is a lot of them. It's overhyped quarterbacks coming into the season. The number of snaps that Dave brings up. A lot of these people, these media people, they don't listen. They don't look. They just, hey, this guy's got all the accolades, and they start pumping them up. Happened to Clemson, happening to South Carolina, happening to Texas. Yep. Everybody says, Gunner, I don't know if we can win with Gunner. All he's doing is going out there and getting his offense running. And he's got the football team, he's got their respect, and he's a leader, and he's making critical plays. So they've got confidence in him. But, the other thing when you mentioned about coaching kids on NIL, I got out before that started. I don't know. I'm sure it's got to be a little different, but I just still think they coach kids the way they always did. The thing if anything's getting into it to keeping coaches from holding players accountable, it's the portal, not the NIL. Hell, they were getting money when we were in there. We just didn't know who was giving it to them. But but they couldn't leave. If they got their ass chewed, they couldn't leave the next day. So that's what the problem is right now. If there's a lack of accountability with players, it's because they always in the back of their mind, they said, those guys recruited me pretty hard 2 years ago. I can go over there and play. And that's probably what it is. But Dave makes some really good points. And I'm high on Oklahoma right now. Of course, they'll probably go out there in the next 2 weeks and blow the whole thing. But Mateer's playing good. I mean, he's not great, but he's playing damn good. And he's got his old coordinator. And Brent's got the defense. And you go back and check who's been putting points on them. Nobody. I'm really excited about it. They've got a big one coming up, and I can't remember who it is right now.
They got Auburn Saturday.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. I hate to say this, Rob, and I always pull for Auburn. I think Auburn could get that butt kicked double digits out of Oklahoma.
I'm concerned about that game, Dave Bartoo. Auburn, I just found out we've got to go to a wedding party for close family friends Saturday. And
Rob's like, I'm not worried about the game. I just got this wedding party thing I got to go to.
I need to be in Norman.
For me.
I need to be in Norman, Dave. I-40 West. We'll see what happens on that. Dave Bartoo, you heard what Coach Johnson just said about Oklahoma. Yeah. John Mateer, he's got a lot of – how many starts? He started 13 last year at Washington State, and then he's got what he's done this year. Jackson Arnold started 12, 13, 14 games now, something like that. What do you think happens?
I think the home team wins this football game. I straight up think this home – if this was on the Plains, I'm taking Auburn. They're both playing really good football, okay? And I said it preseason when I started coming on this show. In season, the most important numbers for me is scoring efficiency. That is it. When that ball is snapped, how many points do you expect to give up? How many points do you expect to produce? Okay. And the best teams can do both really good. Leaders in combined team scoring efficiency right now. Alabama's up there. Oklahoma's up there. And I'm glad you brought up Auburn because Auburn is off to a really hot start. They were under the radar coming in. They're kind of like that. It's almost like that tweener brand that is a top 15 recruiter, but just not quite Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma, Texas. But I know I said right now I'll take Alabama, Oklahoma. I think the winner of Oklahoma, Auburn, man, that might be that might be a SEC championship level team because both of them offensively and defensively are playing great football, pretty equal talents, pretty even coaching staffs. I think it just comes down to where the game is, and I just got to take the Sooners in that one.
Yeah. Pete?
If I was in the middle of Oregon with no cell phone and no electricity, my TV would be off for 4 days too with my elk hunting or deer hunting.
Both.
I commend you, Mr. Bartoo. The other thing I've got to ask you is, Virginia Tech fired their coach, and they're going to select the new one by committee. Are you on the committee?
We do not talk about work on this show.
That is not a no,
Yeah,
but
no.
okay, I like it. All right, I'll leave it at that.
I wouldn't sit on a committee. I wouldn't sit on a committee. I would be my job in coaching searches and staff building. I always thought it was going to be finding a guy, right? Finding the diamonds in the rough, and it really doesn't work that way. Every once in a while, I'll get a head coach that goes, Dave, I got this budget. I'm going to bind last guy. Find me somebody with a high ceiling that is going to cost me a lot of money. But most of the time, my work is not finding a winner, is keeping them from making a bad decision.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hire that guy, right? It's like, hey, Dave, here's our pool of 10 guys. Awesome. See these 5 guys right here? Yeah. Do not even call them. Right? Just
you're like a quarterback. Don't make a bad decision.
Right.
protect the program.
It's a filter. Yeah. I always thought it was going to be a find filter to find the winners. No, it's a filter to avoid the losers. Is really what it is. And so, but it's not a surprise. With Brett Pry, 3 years ago, he started out. I have a little basic system that I call Coach Effect. Kind of holds the coach liable for the results of the schedule and the talent. Brett Pry and Sonny Cumbie 3 years ago, at the end of their first year, were on a list that I call Dead Man Walking. It was so bad their first year that it indicates they will not make it to year 4. In fact, in the last 20 years, there's only 2 guys that have escaped Dead Man Walking, Sonny Dykes at Cal and Luke Fickell at Cincinnati. Everybody else, when you're bad, you stay bad. So it's not a surprise. But wow, Virginia Tech is they're still struggling since Frank Beamer left.
No doubt about it. But, getting back Auburn and Oklahoma, man, I can't wait to watch it. Here's the thing I'm really impressed with this year in the league. Clark Lee is back to calling the defense at Vanderbilt. They're playing pretty good defense. Brent Venables is back to calling defense at Oklahoma. They're really good on defense. Josh Heupel's always called the offense. He knows how to scheme things up and get things done. Kalen DeBoer, even though they say Ryan Grubb's calling the offense, I think Kalen has something to do with it. I think the more that head coaches are involved, except with Billy at Florida. I just
Ellis Johnson,
you don't know what you're getting, and I think it goes back to Ellis's point. It's about recruiting. And then once you get a guy in there and you figure out, man, we can't do all this stuff that I had planned because my guy can't execute it. That holds teams back. And I go to Auburn. I've known Hugh Freeze a long time. He is a good football coach. He is a good football. And Kent Nix, Kent Austin.
Derek Nix.
No, Kent Austin.
Kent Austin, yeah.
Kent's a good football coach. So all that stuff about Hugh playing too much golf and this and that, you know what? He knows what he has on his team. And Dave, going back to your point about snaps, don't confuse inactivity with achievement. And I think the media has a tendency to go, we're going to put these guys on a pedestal before they earn it, before they show us they're worthy of it. But yet you have the numbers that prove plays equal experience, equal guys with leadership in tough situations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Coach and Dave, I got to ask you this. There's doing a lot of estate planning in 34 years as a financial advisor. My attorney used to say, first generation employs, the second enjoys, and the third destroys, unless you make the kids work. In the most successful family businesses, the big ones, multi-million into the billions that I've ever seen, they start the kids out of college at about $40,000 a year. You're doing everything from the bottom up. You'll earn the respect of the employees, everybody out there, and you know how to run the company. Y'all are right about football. I mean, Coach Johnson, Pete, when guys come in and they think that they were born on third base and hit the triple themselves, that's got to drive you crazy. Dave, looking at the SEC, Texas, there was a story a couple of weeks ago. Texas is the new Alabama. No way.
Dude, Texas is in deep trouble right now. I really believe. I mean, I know they have the coaching talent, not on the head coach side, but everything else. We know they have the player talent, but this team right now is 49th in opponent adjusted scoring efficiency on offense. They can't score. They're not very good.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And look at these numbers teams are putting up. Now, look, Pete Kwiatkowski is probably top 3 defensive coordinator in the country. And Texas has been winning with their defense the last 2 years. But the offense keeps going backward. It's almost like Sarkisian can't find his own quarterback. Yeah. Josh Heupel can. That's right. Ryan Day can. Chip Kelly could. I'm beginning to wonder if Steve Sarkisian can find a quarterback.
He's got one coming in. He's got one coming in next year now.
Yeah,
that kid he's got committed for next year. Yeah. He's the dude.
Okay. But it's just fun to make fun of certain teams in the SEC, especially when they were crowned before the start of the season. But I do think Texas is in trouble. You have right now. The defense is carrying him, but you have a better offense at Tennessee. You got a better offense at Georgia. You got a better offense at Alabama. You got a better offense at Auburn. You got a better offense at Oklahoma. Man, it is going to be. I think it's going to be really tough to get this offense turned around in time to even consider making the playoffs. I think it's one game at a time for Texas, and if we don't see improvement in this offense, man, I just don't know how they're going to survive October and November to the level people want them to.
All right, Ellis Johnson. I got to ask you, and Dave, I agree with that. I didn't put. I don't buy the hype. I look through the numbers. Ellis Johnson, Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby. You've coached there. He's Art Briles' son-in-law. I got a lot of good Mississippi State friends, and you talk about loyalty. How good can Mississippi State be? Because the defense looks a lot better than last year, and it was arguably the worst in school history.
I think they can be good. The problem is when we went into Mississippi State, it was in the floor, but Jackie had left some players. Now, some of them, we had to get rid of some of them, but when Jeff took over, it was in terrible shape. And this is a hard conference and a hard day and time with all this portal and NIL. Mississippi State doesn't have the bucks to go out there and grab the top 5 guys out of the portal. So they don't have the chance to rebuild the way everybody else is doing it. And trying to rebuild when you're fighting the SEC through high school recruiting is hard. And hopefully they'll be patient with him because I think I see some bright spots too. And it's pretty obvious he knows how to coach offense. He's getting some production going on that side. Defensively, I hadn't really kept up with it enough to make an educated statement on it. But they've definitely improved. Yeah. Are they there yet? I don't know. I mean, they just beat Alcorn. So we don't need to, get too excited about that. But I mean, right around the corner, they've got Tennessee, Texas A&M back-to-back. And then they still got, good Lord, they got Texas, Arkansas on the road, Georgia, Missouri. I mean, they've got 6 teams left that you would say they're probably not as good as that team. So I hope he's got it turned, and I think he's done a hell of a job. They're going to have patience over there if they're going to have any chance to get it back to being competitive in the top half.
Yeah, going into week 4 in the SEC, when you're looking ahead at your schedule down the road, it's like looking at the weather map on the West Coast and you see this massive storm coming. Well, use that time to prepare so when the storm gets here, you're ready because you have advance. You know who you're playing. Dave, all right, I got to ask you about Tennessee. We talked about Joey Aguilar. Yep. Is he the steal of the year in the portal? William Michael Jordan and Michael Sagg watching the game with them Saturday night said that's the biggest pickup. He can make those throws that some of the other quarterbacks that Heupel's had haven't.
You know something? No, it's not the biggest steal, in my opinion. Now, who is? I don't know. But as great as Aguilar has looked, and if you look at the numbers, you look at the yards, you look at the throws, look, this guy at App State wasn't doing any of this stuff, right? So
Nope.
I think what it does more than anything, I think it shows you how badass Josh Heupel is at developing quarterbacks in an offense.
Mm-hmm.
This
Yep.
guy did not
I
do
agree.
anything at App State. There was nothing on the radar that said he could do it. Big dude, big arm, right? But I think the credit, look, he's executing it on the field, but Josh found him. Josh saw what he could do with him. Josh has put him in the position to be successful. Josh is one of the top 10 play callers in the country. And I think doing stuff like this, taking a guy off the scrap heap, I don't think he was stolen. I think Josh Heupel turned him into a superstar. I think it's more about Josh than Joey.
And somebody put out on X over the weekend, the football stadium, checkerboard, orange and white, 105,000 at Neyland, and it showed the Rose Bowl where Nico is now, and there was a family gathering of some 15 to 20,000. I'm with you about Josh Heupel. I think, and he's also one of the nicest people to talk to, easiest to talk to. He understands the game. He gets Tennessee. I can say that. By the way, your Oregon Ducks, man. Matt Dean flew up to Chicago from Memphis Thursday morning right after the show because Tyler's on that staff. Right. I know a lot of. I'm just saying Dan Lanning is just a cool guy. He's from like Olathe, Kansas, whatever. Pete, do any of y'all know Dan Lanning?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
He coached at Memphis. Look at all the great coaches, by the way, that have coached in Memphis. Mac Browne was here last Monday for the Touchdown Club. Had a picture of him at then Memphis State University with Ernest Gray and all. It was like, you coached at Memphis. Everybody came here. You coached at Memphis.
One of the great Alabama players and coaches, Richard Williamson, is who I went to.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. That guy, I'd do anything in the world for Coach Williamson. It's unfortunate he passed, but Richard Williamson, he caught Joe Namath's first touchdown pass in college. He's from Fort Deposit, Alabama, which was just a wide spot in the road, brother. And I mean, you talk about one of the best football coaches and demanding and tough. And then he gets hit with the NCAA investigation that was left by Fred Pankos when Pankos left to go to Vanderbilt. So Richard Williams, but Memphis, Mac was there, and it was really something. But I'll say this about Josh Heupel. Son of a coach, Heisman Trophy winner, won a national championship. He is relentless in recruiting. I mean, the stories at Tennessee, he's nonstop, but he knows how to evaluate. His first call after Nico left, his first call to the quarterback was the Hoover kid at TCU. That's who he made the first call to. He wanted Hoover to leave. He was trying to recruit him. Sonny did a good job of getting some money, and Hoover said, no, I'm loyal to my guys. And there was some talk that Kenny Minchie was going to leave Notre Dame, but Minchie thought he was going to be the starter at Notre Dame. And then they end up getting Joey. But I agree with Dave. Josh Heupel knows how to develop quarterbacks. And the other thing is, he uses that quarterback run game to his advantage. And Aguilar's going to do nothing but get better in that system.
Yeah, it is so much fun to watch coaching. And Ellis Johnson, Pete Cordelli, 2 national championship coaches, Dave Bartoo, College Football Matrix, the guy out there, executive producer Brenden Martin, an equal in his field as a producer to y'all. I'm just saying this discussion is deep. I want to ask y'all, Dave, about Bobby Petrino. Talon Green, the second year in his system, that guy is terrifying. He's a faster version of Ryan Mallett from Texarkana, whose uncle was from right here in Parkin, Arkansas, Cross County. Salute to all those farmers. By the way, you can never say now it's dark, we can't work in the fields. They've got lights on them and DVD players and full-blown sound systems. Might be a turtle box or two in one of those combines. But Dave, talk about Arkansas and what they're doing. Jim Cherry wanted to know.
Well, you know something? Again, we're walking into the season with a veteran quarterback. We're walking into the season with a veteran offensive coordinator, 4+ star offensive coordinator. You got an offensive coordinator that wants to be a head coach again, right? I mean, I would bet Pete and Ellis would tell you, once you're a head coach, your goal is to be a head coach again. 95% of the guys are like that. And so to me, bringing in a Bobby Petrino, you're bringing in a guy that's motivated to give you 100% to get back to the top, right? And he's done that, right? I mean, he's won a lot. He had a good offense last year. He's got a better offense this year. And so, the question mark at Arkansas coming in was the coaching and the defensive side of football. It wasn't the offense, and we're seeing that so far. I think the bigger question about Arkansas, if they keep this up, where's Bobby Petrino going to be a head coach next year?
That's a great point. Ellis Johnson, looking down the SEC, I mean, we've hit on about everybody. Kentucky, they're off this week, and I'm just looking at Missouri. Coach Johnson, Eli Drinkwitz. I love this guy because he always comes and talks to me at media days. He's just, he wears a blue and white seersucker suit. He's got 4 daughters, his wife at home, so he can't wait to get to work every day. I'm sure he loves those daughters, and I've got 2 of each. But there's something about Drinkwitz that just makes you think he's really a smart football IQ guy.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I think he's a great teacher of quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Now, I think he's in the short time he's been there, with maybe 3-4 years, and he's had 3 different guys at least. And the kid this year is really played extremely well for him. I think they're going to embarrass South Carolina out there this weekend. I'm afraid, and I hope not. Ugh. But whether Sellers plays or not, and they're playing good defense. They play hard, and it's not a one-sided deal. But I tell you, his quarterbacks, each time they bring another body in there, the production still stays up high. And maybe if he'd had Aguilar when he was at 1 year, hell, he might have been better. But Dave makes a great point about that. The kid was pretty average at Appalachian, and I love this story. It goes back out toward home to UCLA, and everything gets turned upside down with Imaliva, and then he comes all the way back to the East Coast, right across the mountains in Tennessee, and everybody's like, this is going to be an absolute abortion. And that sucker is he's leading that football team. You can kind of see he's feeling his way, but he's got Josh Heupel, to teach him. And I just love that story. Yeah. I just love it because of the NIL stuff and the portal stuff and all of it. I'm so glad it turned out the way it did.
Yeah, and I'm with David Baker here. Arkansas has got to go through Memphis this weekend. Go Tigers! That's going to be a hell of a game. I mean, and you've got Ryan Silverfield. What's he got? 70 new players on the team. We've had him on the show before. Fred Smith's legacy. We lost the greatest Memphian ever. Elvis was from Tupelo, so I have to clarify that. But guys, unbelievable show. If we were in a court trial, may it be fair to say I rest my case. Ellis, Pete Cordelli, Dave Bartoo, we are so blessed. Thank you more than you know. We'll do it again next week. And we'll say something about our sponsors. But guys, thank you so much. To talk to you after the show. That was an unbelievable. Guys, get out all of our sponsors. Like Landers Ford, open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. As for Brad Bellamy, the general manager, they'll walk you through the whole process. And look, those lights out gummies, you know how to order those. Hewlett and Dunn on the historic square, Collierville, Tennessee. Boxes coming in every single day. Filson, Barber, STS, the luggage, over 7,000 pairs of men's and women's cowboy boots. Go to hewlettandunn.com. J.M. Huffman, Charles Hall, Laura, Raven, Squidward, Lydia, they'll take care of you. And Rumble Boxing, how you fight's how you live. Hey, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Find excuses to win. Go out and help other people. Make this the greatest day. We are living in the greatest country in the history of the world, and we'll see you tomorrow.